There is this one story I think about often, though, when I imagine this kind of creative, nonviolent, truth-telling energy that this kind of disruption calls for. So in 2007, a group of white supremacists held a rally in Knoxville, Tennessee. There would be people in Klan regalia, folks chanting messages of racism and holding signs. And in response, this local group began to meet to try to decide what to do about it. They knew they could match the energy of the white supremacists, making their own signs, chanting their own chants, but they also knew that this was a kind of group that tended to thrive on righteous indignation. And in the midst of their planning, someone had this different idea. On the day of the parade, as the Klansmen started their march down the street, they were met with an army of clowns. These locals had painted their faces, put on red noses, they wore floppy shoes, the whole 9 yards, and they refused to give the white supremacists the energy that they were asking for. The Klansmen tried to get on with their demonstration, and they started chanting white power, and the clowns, in response, they all started acting like they couldn't understand. And they'd lean in and they'd cup their ears and they'd say, wow, what are they saying? What are they saying? And after a minute, they straightened back up with this mock understanding. Oh yeah, white flour. And they reached into their bags and started tossing these clouds of flour into the air. And they continued their chanting, and the clowns continued with this like mock misunderstanding. Oh, what are they saying now? What is it? White flowers? And they reached into their bags and they started passing out these white flowers to everybody. And they just kept going. They did it with tight showers. They did it with wife power. It was a whole thing until the Klansmen got so fed up, they just went home. And when the press covered the story later, they didn't report on a story of hatred and outrage. They reported on a story of white supremacists looking like idiots as they got upstaged by a group of clowns. Richard Rohr once wrote that the best criticism of the bad is the practice of the better. And that's going to look different for each of us, of course, in different situations. And I know well that not every tension can be solved by dressing up as a clown. But that process of third way resistance is so powerful.